brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastsofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game. Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the War Machine Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hi guys, welcome to Relic Knights Quest. It is time for a look at one of the most important parts of this game, deployment and actually picking your scenarios. Now, we've had a look at picking scenarios before in a couple of videos, but I want to do it one more time just in case anyone out there hasn't seen it yet, because it does really affect how you're going to play your game. So, how do we start this?
Well, like in any game, I mean, Relic Knights is a story-driven game, right? Mm-hmm. And so we always have a hero and a villain. Mm-hmm. And anybody's faction can play as either or. Your story is going to unfold while you play. Mm-hmm. But in this case, we're going to go pretty straightforward. Your models have an affinity that they align to. Mm-hmm. For you, you're playing Black Diamond. It's going to be Purple or Corruption Esper. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's going to be Law, which is blue. So we're going to take our decks, give them a good shuffle, just because. This is our Esper decks, by the way. And we're going to go ahead and do a card flip. Now, the top 3 cards, you flip them over, and you're going to count any colored Esper that is aligned to your affinity, and count up the points, and the most points is going to get the choice.
Okay, well, I'll bring this up on my camera. So I flip how many? 3?
3, yep.
2 and 3, so I've got 2 in my purple.
So a total of 4. And I have 2 and 1, so I have a total of 3, so you get to choose whether you get to be the hero or the villain. Now, here's the choice. To be the hero means you get to take the first turn. Mm-hmm. To be the villain means I get to draw the scenarios. So, of those 2 things, which would you want to be?
I think I'll play the hero.
All right, okay. So first turn's going to belong to you, which means I'm going to draw scenarios. Now here's how scenarios work in Relic Knights. Now, in Relic Knights, every Esper deck gives you a couple of extra cards for reference, and these are also in the rule book.
So if I quickly put these under close camera, just so that people can see them, they're going to tell you what your primary, secondary, and faction 1 are. Because I'm playing Black Diamond, I will always get this bottom one here on the purple.
Yep, and which one is that?
Because you're playing Law, that is Transport, and because you're playing Law, you're going to get Justice.
Yep, so those cards are already going to come out, and that's going to be part of the scenario package for me and determine what I need to play toward.
Yep.
But we're going to go ahead and do a card flip. So the first one's going to be for you.
Okay.
Primary is Law, secondary is Essence. Or sorry, not Essence, but Life. So Law primary is securing the perimeter. Now, this is a 5.
That's this one?
Yep, this is a 5 victory point action. To accomplish secure the perimeter, you have to place secure tokens on your primary objective and on 3 enemy objectives. The objectives must all possess secure tokens at the same time. So in addition to yours, you're going to have to go around and drop off secure tokens on my objectives as I place them. Your secondary is going to be Defensive Life. Creation. Now, after deployment, your opponent must choose one of your units in the cadre and place a life token on that unit's card. To accomplish Defensive Life, you must deposit the life token at any point along the board edge furthest from the unit's starting position, and a unit may not voluntarily drop a life token. So you're going to start with a token on that unit, and then you're going to have to walk it across the board and drop it off to score those points. But that's an instant 3 points just for moving. So that's not a bad
just
thing
for booking it across the table.
Exactly.
So that's not a difficult one.
Nope.
The Secure the Perimeter one does seem like a little bit of a chore to work through. My final one is Transport, of course, for the fact that I'm on the Purple Esper. That is retrieve 2 cargo tokens from your primary objectives. To accomplish Transport, you must deposit the cargo tokens at any point along the board edge furthest from your primary objective. Okay. So that's really going to work into, I'm going to have to think of where I'm putting my primary objective and where I'm deploying my stuff in general. Yep.
And then for me, I'm going to do a card flip here. Looks like my primary is Essence and my secondary is Chaos. So my primary is Grand Conjunction. This is a 5 victory point condition. To accomplish Grand Conjunction, I have to place 3 infused tokens on an enemy's primary objective and 3 infused tokens on my own primary objective. The objectives must all possess the infused tokens at the same time. So that's 3 turns I have to wait around depositing onto your and my primary objective. Once that's done, that's worth 5 points, and that puts me halfway to victory. The secondary is going to be Chaos, and Chaos in this case is going to be Anarchy. So for 3 points, I accomplish Anarchy by placing sabotage tokens on 5 different objectives, enemy or friendly. Doesn't really matter. So I just need to get around the field a bit. So it looks like movement is going to be a key part of what I got to do as well.
Yeah.
So combine that with justice, puts me in the same position that you are. We have to move to accomplish our objectives.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to quickly read out what justice is, just so everyone at home knows.
Yep.
After the first of your units has been destroyed, note the unit that destroyed it. That unit is now the accused. To accomplish justice, you must destroy the accused unit. If the accused unit is a cipher, you must destroy the cipher's knight.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. So I assume we just quickly shuffle our decks up again.
Go ahead and give it a quick shuffle.
Okay.
And we're going to draw our 5 cards just to have them in hand. And then we're going to go straight to deployment.
Yeah. Now, this is where you really have to think about what you're up to. Because now we know what our objectives are. We need to place our objectives and secondaries, our primary and secondaries, to work with those objectives.
Yep.
So I know my primary is secure perimeter. So I'm actually going to start with my primary objective. Because I'm player 1, I have to deploy it first, yeah?
Yep.
So I think what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to make it difficult for you to get to. I'm going to plant it directly in the center of the board, right here. So it's equal from everything.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to have to answer that. So I can't place these closer than 8 inches to any other marker or enemy unit that's out there right now, and you're centered out. So I am going to place my primary, because I need to have them relatively close together, I'm going to have it close to yours. Where do we want to do this? I like this little spot up here. Now, it's about 8 inches out, about 10 inches out almost.
Okay.
But it's highly defensible, so I can keep you off of me while hopefully being able to achieve my objective when I go down.
That's fair enough.
Okay.
Right, so we'll move on to secondary. Now, I really want you to be working to reach any of my secondary objectives.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to be placing this as far as possible away from anything else. So I'm actually going to place it right up here on top of this.
All right.
So I'm really going to want to make you work for it.
Okay, that's fair. Since I have anarchy, which just requires me to get around and drop things off on anybody's objectives, the closer I keep these clustered, probably the stronger I'm going to be. But I'm going to start losing ground to your deployment here very shortly, depending on how you daisy chain this stuff together. So I think I'm going to take control of this landing pad and put a control marker right there. Your turn.
For my last secondary, I'm going to, again, try and make you really, really work for it.
Yep.
So I'm going to place it, you see, right on top of this raised platform.
That's work.
It's a raised platform on a raised platform.
Yeah. Shoot. All right. Well, that is work. This last one, I'm going to put down closer to my primary so I can at least score those objectives relatively quickly. And again, to keep it kind of tidy and to focus how much can come in and out, I'm going to drop it on top of this building up here. It's still close, but it's not quite, unmanageable if I need to move to it and do something.
So at this point, we're about to start deploying our miniatures, right?
Right.
So the key thing to note is, if I go to the front camera, the key thing to note is that within an 8-inch bubble of each of our objectives, the enemy cannot deploy.
Correct.
And whenever we start putting miniatures down, those bubbles increase and increase and increase. So now it's time to consider where to put stuff. So I assume I'm deploying a unit first.
Correct.
So really, I'm just going to go big and heavy first. I'm going to get the diamond back, and I'm going to get it down on the table. So I think I want to place it right here in the middle, just to really start causing you some issues, and it means that he can get wherever he wants to go very early in this game.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? Okay. All right. Well, since I need to have my best strikers close to doing things, I'm going to take my Paragons. This is my squad of elite paladins with jump packs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick them out over here.
Okay.
Because that puts me in easy striking distance of a couple of objectives, while they're still resilient enough to take a few hits if they didn't out in the open.
Yeah, okay. The next thing I'm going to place down, I'm actually going to place down my Diamond Corps.
Okay.
Because they're a good line unit, and if I place them down around here, around my own objective, I can sort of start to defend it a little bit and just not leave it exposed and on its own.
And also keep in mind that all of your objectives have an actual unit size. Your primaries are at least a size 3, and your secondaries are size 2, which means you can use them as cover or to help block line of sight to smaller troops.
Exactly.
Okay. Boy, oh boy, you're making this tough. Well, if I needed to handle that, what would I do? Those guys are not going to be moving around very fast. So I think that I'm going to put my my aspirant, who is a solo hero, who goes with my shattered sword up there, and maybe he can cause a little trouble for your time, guys.
Okay. Well, I can't just leave you having that. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take Viper, who's one of my own solo characters, and I'm going to place her right up here, just with a little bit of cover between her and you, and she should have a good line of sight.
Makes total sense. I'm just scoping out your Viper card here real quick.
Oh, don't worry. She has a little ability that I'll use if I feel the need to at the end of this.
Just want to make sure we're covering that. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw a bit of a monkey wrench into your designs here because I'd like to put down my my questing knight. Now, this is my commander for my force. So there is some risk in pointing all compasses towards her.
Yes.
But maybe this forces your decision-making a little bit as to where it is you want to put things. So this is Jean Romay. She is also in Paragon armor, so she's quite fast and zippy. So she's got jump packs, and she will be able to obtain some cover behind this wall. And her Cypher is also going to go down here in easy line of sight of his master. That's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm actually just going to reflect what you're doing because I'm going to put my own one down. I have Codebreaker.
Oh, yeah.
Who is very nasty from what I've been reading of his roles. Hopefully we'll get to show him in a later video. But I'm going to place him right down here, again, in cover, with his little Cypher slave right beside him.
Yep, that sounds like what he would do.
Yeah. Well, it means that I can start the game, my Cypher's within that 3-inch range that is for one of his abilities, which lets him start drawing the Esper off.
Right.
And just doing some very nasty things early on in this game. I've got a nice, good view across the entire battlefield. He won't really need to move much.
Okay.
That, and he's guarding one of my secondaries.
Makes sense. All right, well, I'm going to double check your little bubble as it starts to expand here. Now, these black diamond guys are within 8 inches of this marker, so I might have to push a couple of them back and around.
Okay.
But I would also like to set up my cleansers. Now, my cleansers are a special suborder within Shattered Sword, and they're great melee fighters, but actually what they're really good for is removing status effects from areas on the table. So if you have any permanent effects you want to put out, they can be reactive and defensive by removing your debuffs or your buffs or things that are causing me problems.
Okay.
And they can also be a good secondary guard for my primary objective there.
Okay, so my last unit to drop down is Suspect 7. Now, these are some very nice ninjas. Whenever you're putting ninjas on the table, you have to be sneaky with where you're putting them. So, where I'm going to put these, and I hope I'm being clever with this, I'm actually going to place them up here to begin with. Because I think I can actually get them to start moving around and doing some very nasty things if need be.
Yep, and your starting deployment for units still has a 3-inch unit coherency, so you can stretch them out or fan them out however you want.
Yeah, I'll stretch them out just a little bit.
Okay.
That'll do.
All right. Well, I'm going to answer big for big here, and I think I'm going to put my Castellan down. Now, my Castellan is a big Shattered Sword mecha with a pilot inside. He's going to come down and take advantage of that landing space. Cover's not going to do him a lot of good, but he's going to rely on armor and speed to go and get the things done he needs to do. So
I have nothing else left to deploy.
Okay. I have one more unit, and that is my Shattered Sword Paladins. Now, these are just my regular line troops, but they're tough, and they have a ranged attack. So I actually want to put them in a position where they can put fire onto targets. And since your target's sitting right down in the middle there, I really think that I'm going to occupy this space so that I can maximize their ability to put ranged attacks into spaces that they otherwise wouldn't be able to occupy.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and fill up that space a little bit with my Paladins and the Aspirant and put some pepper on you.
Okay, well, right, so that's all of our deployment done.
Yep.
We're ready to start the game. I be player 1, the hero, so I get the first activation.
Absolutely.
We're not going to do that in this video because it's deployment that I want to talk about. So let's analyze where everything has went and how it has been influenced by our mission. So,
absolutely.
For me, to secure the perimeter, I don't really think I can do. I don't think I have the movement to pull it off. So what I'm doing is I'm just setting up good defensive lines to actually stop you getting to my objectives and completing yours.
Right.
That has been what I've been considering because I've got units up here defending a secondary, unit here defending my primary. This guy, he's in a good position just to go anywhere on the board, and she's up here defending this secondary. I think it's a reasonable strategy for the start of this game.
Yep. I think you're right. I mean, you're in a spot where you can immediately move to react to threats while still pursuing point spread for your own, which makes perfect sense. And looking at where you've dropped everything, I've had to be a little reactive because obviously the first placement and throwing your primary in the center of the field
it carves out a nice big bubble in the middle of the board.
It does. There's this big purple area in the middle, and then I have a couple of landing zones I get to come in on both sides. It's really a dynamic way to deploy forces in game, so it really keeps you thinking. So in this space, I've chosen to spread my stuff out to the edges. Not because I need to be near the edges, but because I need to have all of my elements accessible according to my scenarios.
Yeah.
So Grand Conjunction, just by itself, I needed to make sure that these are at least close together. So if I'm able to control your central element and mine, I could immediately start pounding away at maximum point cost for getting a nice return on my being brave. And notice that I've also deployed units pretty much in contact with at least 3 markers around the outside of the table. So then I'll be able to accomplish anarchy, hopefully within a couple of rounds, ensuring that I'm placing markers on all of my objectives. And all I need to do is reach 2 of yours. And since most of my troops fly and are pretty fast, I'm expecting I can do that quickly.
Now, the last thing we need to do before we begin the game is I have the defensive life objective. So you need to select one of my guys.
Correct.
Who I have to keep alive.
Yeah, that's right. He has to move, doesn't he? Well, this is where I get the forced movement. So if you want the points for it, we're going to go ahead and put the life here on your knight.
Okay, so where would we say our furthest board edge is?
Your furthest board edge, he's actually closest here, so it's going to be that far board edge over there.
Okay. So he's going to have to start booking it across, and you've got some big units there. Yeah. So that's going to give me some issues, but I think I can pull it off because he's got some very cool abilities.
Exactly.
And I do want to be activating my knight anyway because he's one of my most powerful units, so I can live with that.
Exactly. And for my point, simply selecting him to keep him from being a static fire base is really important, so he doesn't sit up there and play sniper. So you're going to have to move, and I'm going to be able to engage you while you move. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I would move him very first turn. I think I would maybe wait for a little while, let your stuff move and shift around the table a little bit, and look for an opening. I think that would be my best bet there. Okay. Well, look, I tell you what, guys. We always do a backstage episode to these shows, so if you want to come across to beastofwar.com, you can join us for some more Relic Knights chats, and, well, drop us a comment below. We'll see you there.
Once I put this token down, anything within 3 inches of this token will suffer an additional 3 damage from incoming attacks.
Okay.
Okay.
Where to?
It's about line of sight right now. So I got this big ugly robot right here, but you're sitting pretty on top of this objective. So I'm actually going to target this objective. And I'm going to go ahead and put the guide on right on top of that.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go ahead and see if I have anything else in hand that I can use, because if I have 3 more Esper, I don't.
Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastofwar.com. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastofwar.com.